Leave immediately or face the fines. That's literally how she greeted me. Right there on my first day, sweat pouring down my face, tape clinging to my hands, as I tried to wrestle a moving box marked kitchen, fragile, through my new garage. Not hello, not welcome, just a threat, as if I was trespassing in my own home. You know what I mean? Imagine finally getting the keys, rolling up in your U-Haul, and before you can set down your first box, someone's in your face shoving a binder at you, talking about fines and compliance, like you'd accidentally moved into some bizarre, suburban cult. That was my introduction to Maple Ridge and to Paula Hargrove, president of the Homeowners Association, self-appointed guardian of everything from mailbox heights to the number of shrubs you're allowed to plant out front. She looked like she'd walked out of a Homeowners Association training video, blazer starched, binder thick enough to stop a bullet, and a smile so fake it barely bothered trying to hide the threat underneath. She blocked my path with all the subtlety of a mall cop. "Excuse me, are you the new resident?" Not a real question, more like an accusation. I said yeah, tried to slide past, but she just mirrored me, not an inch of daylight given. "We need to discuss your compliance status immediately," she said, like I'd just confessed to a felony. Then she shoved a paper at me so hard I nearly dropped my box. I did, in fact. That cast iron pan in the bottom hit the concrete with a sound that made her eyes light up. "Noise violations, see?" She was off to the races. "If we don't maintain standards, the neighborhood will fall apart." I bent down to grab my pan, and when I stood up, she was holding a thick blue binder out like it was the Bible. "Welcome, compliance binder. 30 days to review, sign, or start paying $50 a day." This thing was heavier than most textbooks I used in college. I flipped through it, grass height, mailbox colors, pre-approved window coverings, like I'd accidentally bought a house in North Korea. "Show me where my deed mentions your daily fines," I said, because come on, I'd done my research. She blinked like I'd spoken Martian. "Your deed is irrelevant. Property ownership comes with responsibilities." The way she said issues with non-compliant residents sounded like a threat and a warning, all rolled into one. I glanced at my phone, pulled up the Boundary app I downloaded just in case, and noticed something odd about the lines on the map compared to Paula's attitude. She started listing my violations, hadn't pre-registered my move, boxes stacked the wrong way, noise disturbance. "Fine start Monday. $50 day one, doubles every week." She made it sound like a death sentence. I picked up my pan and said, "Look, Paula, maybe we should actually check if your rules even apply to my property before we start talking about fines." She started changing colors, settling somewhere around fire engine red. "Every property here falls under HOA jurisdiction." "We'll see about that," I said, binder in one hand, pan in the other, like the world's saddest circus act. It wasn't about grass height, I realized. It was about control. Her whole identity, apparently, was built around enforcing the neighborhood's unwritten rules. The laser pointer on my toolbox caught a beam of sunlight, made a red dance across the garage wall, and I saw her eyes follow it. Just for a split second, her confidence wavered. "I'll be monitoring your compliance closely," she said, finally retreating, already whispering with the neighbor across the street. The compliance notice was still on my garage floor, red vacate stamp, like she'd come straight from the print shop. I picked it up, slipped it in my pocket. Something told me I was in for a long, weird game. 3 days later, I turned my garage into a war room. Property Boundary app up on my phone, county plat map printed and taped to the wall, binder on the workbench. Paula came marching back with her volunteer team, matching name tags and all. They hit every house, slapping compliance reminders on trash bins. "Neighborhood Unity Survey," she told Mrs. Peterson, who looked confused. "We're documenting concerns about the newcomer." Mrs. Peterson mumbled, "I haven't noticed any problems." Paula just kept scribbling. Enough was enough. I walked out, phone in hand, app open. "Morning, everyone. Since we're so interested in boundaries, want to see something fun?" Paula tried to shoo me back, but I held up a petition I'd found in her binder. "Petition to remove non-compliant resident. Signed by neighbors." Mrs. Peterson's eyes went wide. "She drafted this before you even moved in." People started snapping photos. Paula lunged for the paper. "That's not official, just preliminary feedback," but her hands were shaking. The signatures were identical, the whole thing a farce. Anyone want to see the county map? 3 people immediately gathered in my garage. Mr. Peterson traced the lines. So you're not even in the HOA? He looked at his wife. Honey, we need to check our property lines. Suddenly, neighbors were pulling out their own phones, downloading the Boundary app. Paula was losing control. Lena, next door, legal documents type, studied the plat map and nodded. Paula, we might have a problem. Authority is established by community consensus, Paula sputtered, but her team was peeling away, and her voice sounded desperate. By the end, her Unity survey looked more like a law seminar. A week later, trash day rolled around. I put my bin out like always, but the truck sailed right past. I ran outside in pajamas, bin still full. Wind picked up, bags went flying, coffee grounds everywhere. Lena came out with her phone, live streaming the truck. Every bin but Carter's. HOA interference on display. Mrs. Peterson silently helped me clean up the mess, handing me a paper towel with a look that said, "This isn't your fault." Then I found a receipt under my windshield wiper, Flynn Environmental, route modification, HOA authorization for entire street. Which, of course, wasn't even legal. I called the company, got Derek Flynn himself. We had to modify the route due to compliance issues, he said, like that explained everything. I asked for dispatcher notes. Paula had claimed authority over addresses she didn't control. Half the street wasn't even in the HOA, but Derek took her word for it. I started a folder, HOA overreach. I had a feeling it'd be thick. Later that day, a municipal truck rolled up, guys unloading a mailbox cluster frame right in front of my house. Paula's car idled down the block. The workers handed me a work order, community mailbox installation, referencing a petition from 2 weeks ago. Thing is, I hadn't even moved in 2 weeks ago. They started pulling out my perfectly good mailbox. Paula, in her best safety vest, declared, "Mailbox uniformity is a compliance requirement." But something clicked from my old construction days. Mailboxes aren't HOA property. They're federal. Tampering with them is a felony. I called the post office. The postmaster himself came out within an hour, handed Paula a federal violation notice right in front of the whole block. HOA has no authority over United States mail delivery. None. He stuck an eagle emblem on my box. Paula's team vanished so fast, it was like watching a bad magic trick. That night, Flynn came back under cover of darkness to collect his mailbox cluster. Didn't want any part of federal charges. But Paula wasn't done. She started going door to door, telling people my non-compliance would tank their home prices. Lena tipped me off, so I called Mrs. Peterson, who had done her own research. Turns out, non-HOA homes actually appreciate faster. 3 realtors backed it up. Buyers hate fees and restrictions, and there's a whole market for non-HOA properties. The next day, Paula was in the street, clipboard shaking, still insisting I was ruining everyone's investment. I pulled out my laptop and let a realtor explain, on video chat, to the whole street. Non-HOA homes sell faster, sometimes for more. Paula had nothing but theories and scare tactics. But she had one more trick. She created a private online group, concerned Maple Street residents, posting photos of my house with captions about declining standards. Mr. Henderson caught on quick. The accounts were fake, just her, running a smear campaign. The worst part? The photo timestamps proved she'd been trespassing to take them. Lena said, "That's not HOA enforcement. That's stalking. Document everything." And just when I thought we'd hit the end, Paula called for an emergency community meeting with a carefully worded petition: preserve property values, enforce standards, protect the neighborhood. She didn't mention boundaries or legal limits. The turnout was decent. Paula handed out flip charts and petitions, supporters up front, skeptics in the middle. But as she started her speech, a city officer showed up. Turns out, Mrs. Peterson had filed a complaint about false HOA authority. The officer pointed out her charts didn't match county records. The crowd started asking real questions. What legal authority does this petition have? Can you enforce rules outside the HOA? She had no answers. Lena asked about the trespassing photos. Mr. Henderson pressed her about sales data. Paula had neither. The petition died in the middle rows, fluttering, and signed. By the end, people were drifting out, some shaking their heads, a few exchanging numbers to check their own boundaries. Paula was left packing up, typing frantically on her phone, still plotting something, but the narrative had flipped for good. Next morning, 2 city trucks and a surveyor showed up, official boundary verification. The survey crew moved fast, planting stakes, laying out property lines for everyone to see. The verdict was clear and final. My house was officially outside the HOA. A city official handed me a laminated certificate, boundary verified, outside HOA jurisdiction. Neighbors snapped photos. Paula watched, clutching her clipboard like a lifeline, as her last claims to authority vanished under municipal law. That afternoon, Lena brought cookies and news. Paula had been ousted as HOA president. Derek Flynn lost his contract. The HOA board held her personally liable for fines and violations. Neighbors brought over apologies and congratulations. And Paula, packing boxes from the old HOA office, stopped at the edge of my property, glanced at the new sign, bold black letters, survey completed, outside HOA area, and said quietly, maybe boundaries do matter. Then she left, chalk lines fading, orange sign catching the evening sun. So that's how it went down. Not with a screaming match, but with paperwork, patience, and a little help from the law. If you've ever faced an HOA horror show, drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how you handled it. What worked, what didn't. And if you liked this one, smash that like, share it with someone who needs a laugh, and remember, always protect your boundaries. You never know when you'll need them.